Hello everyone and welcome to the Alliance live show number 63. I'm joined as always by my absolutely awesome and super awesome dude, my super awesome partner in crime, good old Maurice. How you doing today, bud? How you feeling?
Pretty good, much better. Thanks, man.
Good. So Maurice was a little bit under the weather last night, so we decided to hold off until today, and bless my lucky stars, he does feel better, so we're ready to rock and roll at 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We finally got everything prepped. That is all my fault, guys. But you know what? We have some interesting things to dive into and some interesting topics to discuss. First and foremost, we did get a little bit of I would say, is a teaser on the forums recently with some kind of blurry images that they've posted. Have you taken a look, Maurice? Did you see the picture in question here?
Yes, I did.
So what are your thoughts on this? I mean, do you think this is I remember a long time ago. Do you remember when mods came out? They had like that image of like the mod set, and then we didn't know what it was. We didn't know that mods were going to be in there, but it was kind of like a teaser for mods coming.
Yeah. Well, this is similar. I was much better at figuring out what their hints were when they gave like super easy, like verbatim, like Wikipedia quotes. Like you could just type. You remember they used to give the verbal quotes? You just plug them right into Google.
You literally could just search it up and you'd find exactly who it was. I mean, like when Darth Nihilus came out, we knew exactly when they mentioned hunger in the chat.
Yes.
So yeah, we knew Nihilus was coming. Not quite as simple anymore. I would have to say that I think it's definitely hinting, probably a character, or maybe, I mean, we've already got mods, so it's not going to be that, right? It's not going to be anything to do with that. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of ways it can go here. Obviously we do. You and I have a little bit of an idea as to what it is, but I think that whatever it is, I think you guys will be super excited about it, and we definitely have a lot to discuss pretty soon because we have probably, I mean, we're due for some in-game stuff. I mean, when was the last time we had an update to the game?
Like 2 weeks ago with the mods.
I mean,
big one.
Yeah, that was a pretty big update. But I'm saying, like, normally we get an update, I mean, about once every 2 weeks. So I'd say we're due for one probably pretty soon. Now, since Mods 2.0 has come out, how are you doing? I mean, are you doing well farming those pieces out of the shop there? Or like, where are you getting? Have you upgraded any characters, any mods yet, and had any success with speed?
Not so much with speed, but I mean, they're still good mods. I've been taking the ones that were already, 18 speed plus prior to the updates up to 60. I've taken probably 7 or 8 up now, and then of course just trying to build the best sets I can, like looking for the absolute fastest crit damage set, the absolute fastest offense speed set. It might take me, maybe I have a couple blues that are 15 speed that I gamble on and try to roll up, and if they become better, then I include them in that set before I take them up. It's been fun. It's been real fun organizing my mods. I know it sounds nerdy, but I like that type of stuff. Mods are my favorite part of the game, pretty much. So
yeah, no, it's definitely been cool, and I mean, I'm still a ways behind you, so I mean, I'm working on it, but what's really got me backed up is something I'm going to show you in a second here. What's got me backed up is my mods being full. I mean, my inventory is full, and I keep, every time I farm new mods, having to delete mods as well. Are you having a similar situation?
Yeah, but I mean, the thing about the slicing is if some of these mods kind of give you undesirable stats, it makes it a little easier to delete them now. I'm having a much easier time deleting mods now than I did prior to the update, you know. So it is. It's taking some time. I'm trying to get rid of stuff and make room because you sign the loadouts and you need 6 new slots in your inventory, you know, to take the old mods off and put them in there, and so.
Yeah, I mean, this is my situation here. Let me show you. Bang. So basically, I have just tons of mods in my inbox, just sitting there for me to delete mods. And it's like every day I have this scenario. Then I delete a bunch of mods, I accept these mods, and then I have to do it all over again. And, I mean, I don't know if you're like me, but I sit there sometimes and I look, like, for example, let me get into, you know, my mod situation here, and let's just kind of take a look at it. And this is on my personal account, so, you know, just to show you what I'm doing. So, for example, let's...
Something white on my screen. What is that on my screen?
Oh. I don't know. I'll fix it.
Alright, sorry.
No, we gotta get rid of that. Always needs access to your camera. Okay, let me just sorry guys, technical difficulties here. Let me just fix this. This is kind of a new thing. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to exit out of this. I'm going to fix this. There we go. And now,
boom.
Now we're all set. So you should be good to go now, at least for a little while, unless that thing pops up again. Oh, that was kind of weird. It's never done that before. So,
that is correct.
Sorry about that, guys. So yeah. Now going back to what we were talking about, my mods. I want to sell them. So. Where do I go here? That's just going to show me loadouts. I want to sell my mods. Okay, so you see, I mean, I have these mods. These are easy decisions here. I mean, obviously selling these. Okay, but then I have some two dot mods here, like this one, for example, 7-speed secondary. I've got a 3-speed arrow here for defense. This is an easy decision. But some of these smaller mods that I've already invested credits into that have 21 speed, 20 speed. I mean, I know that's not like, you know, it's not knocking anybody's socks off. But ultimately, I mean, these mods I can use for some of my lesser characters. And I'm thinking that maybe I should just equip them and then worry about it. Because, I mean, look at some of these mods. I mean, you know, I got 7 speed on this one, 9 speed on that one, 9 speed, 7 speed. You know, I've been so picky with what mods I keep because I've only keeping mods with speed now that most of the mods that I have kept are speed mods. So it's like,
yeah, you could dump those. Yeah, those unleveled 4 dots, all those 4 dots that you haven't touched, you can get rid of all those.
Even a crit damage with an offense set.
Mm,
I mean, the crit damage triangles.
get rid of one of them. Get rid of the white one, yeah.
I mean, the crit damage triangles are hard to come by. I mean, I don't think I'm ever going to level it up, to be honest with you. But there's a chance. And look, this is a 4-dot here with 2 speed secondary. You know, that's a guaranteed roll speed. This is a health with 3 speed secondary, guaranteed roll speed. I don't know if I'm going to really get any benefit from this mod, but, I feel weird kind of deleting it. So, anything with a speed secondary period, being that it's so rare, makes me always weary about deleting it. So it's like, I end up not deleting that many mods, and then it kind of holds me back with the other stuff. So, for example, this is gone. This I'll get rid of. But 3 speed secondary here, 3 speed secondary there.
Yeah, but B-Moss makes a good point in the chat. Like, before the update, like that 4-dot speed square you have there, it says 3 speed, but it's not guaranteed to hit that speed. You've only got 25% for it to roll speed now, whereas on that specific mod, you had 33% chance to roll speed for the first 3 rolls. So it is more difficult to get speed now. And that's why everybody, us included, was, level up your greens if they got speed, level up your blues, level up all your mods that you like the secondary stats on prior to this update, because the chances of you hitting those secondary stats that you're after is much, much higher, especially on the blues. Like, if you get a blue with speed and offense prior to the update, that was a good mod. Now, you can have speed and blue, or speed and offense on a blue, and you might not even get a roll in either one of those substats. Maybe the 2 new ones that pop up, like tenacity and defense percentage, roll for you.
The moral of the story, though, is that at first it was very easy to make decisions as to what mods I was going to keep. Now I find myself sitting there sometimes, like, contemplating, am I going to delete this one? And it sometimes I contemplate that for a bit, and then I decide not to. And what ends up happening is I just don't have room for my new mods, And then I have a bunch of mods, like, in my inventory right now that I want to delete already. I mean, I looked at them, I don't even want them. So it's like,
yeah.
So it's like, do I want to accept those mods and then delete them again? I mean, it's just constant maintenance, and I don't feel like doing that. I mean, can't they just increase the minimum amount of mods? I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm just being a whiner here. I mean, I'm glad that they updated mods, but the majority of the mods that I have are pretty wackola. You know what I'm saying? So it's tough. Pretty much all the gray leveled, unleveled mods, other than speed arrows, are pretty garbage. Yeah. Yeah, you're probably right. I mean, ultimately, I'm not going to level any of these mods, right? So, I mean, I might as well just get rid of these.
Chances are, if they've been sitting in your inventory and you haven't leveled them yet, you're probably not going to level them now. So you just got to remember, though, 3 and 4 dot mods you can't slice. So what you see is what you get. You can never improve them, which is unfortunate, especially if you got some of those 4 dots with like 14, 15 speed on them. Like, just got like a great roll in a 4 dot mod, and it's just like, it's an eyesore to me now. Like, I still have some good speed secondaries on 3 and 4 dot mods, but I'm tempted to get rid of them and be done with it, just because. I mean, because we're getting we have the gold 5As now, and you take them up to 6E, right? It's 6E, so chances are there's going to be a 6D and a 6C, and so on and so forth.
Oh yeah, we're definitely getting 7 dots eventually too. I mean, they've already shown it, like, accidentally in pictures, right? I mean,
it was a raid reward for
right. We've had a
couple days.
We've owned them already, so 7 dots are coming. And that's going to probably be the path to 7 dots, is leveling up a 6 dot. This is the first that they've done anything like this, so obviously they're going to kind of continue with that. Probably different kinds of components and things than we're farming right now. They'll probably just add another level to the mod section where we're farming the pieces out of now, and just make it based on the next level of mods. So, I mean, yeah, but ultimately, I'm just sitting here looking at this, and like I said, I mean, I'm right now, because of B. Masu, I'm kind of feeling like a little bit more confident with my decisions here to get rid of this stuff. But I've sat there for you know, a bit and tried to delete some of this stuff and been like, man, you know, I don't want to delete something that I'm going to need later. And, you know, maybe I just shouldn't be so picky. Maybe I should just go with it and just, you know, I mean, not really be too worried about every single mod. Like, this is a crit damage. I'm going to keep that. This I'll get rid of.
Well, at the very least, go through and select, like, if you have offense or, like, crit damage sets, and they have, like, defense percentage and you know, protection percentage substats, those are not the best. But if it's, like, a health set and it has defensive, you know, survivability stats, then those are a little better. You can kind of go through and, like, that one square there, you've got 2.16, yeah, that one, yeah, the one you just selected, yeah, that's a good candidate. Just, it's a crit damage set, so you're using it to increase your damage, and that little bit of protection and tenacity isn't going to do that for you. So,
yeah. Like, I mean, arrows, like protection arrows, even though this one has 5 speed as a secondary, I'm never going to level that up. You know, an arrow that doesn't have speed on it, I'm not going to touch it. So,
yeah.
so I mean, it's not worth it.
I use protection arrows sometimes, but again, I don't think I have any, like, crit damage offense. I do have crits, but you have crit damage offense. I don't have, like, the protection and the health arrows. I have health, or I have offense and speed arrows, you know. But health, I do have quite a few, like, health and defense primaries, like the mod sets. I do have some protection. I do have some health. I even have a few crit avoidance. I do kind of like crit avoidance in some cases.
Well, you're a whack job, because I don't like crit avoidance. Who would you slap a crit avoidance mod on?
Sith Trooper under Treya. It's pretty nice.
Okay.
Tank.
That makes sense. Alright, I'm gonna start defense on an arrow. Yeah, that's going.
Vague said you had a health set with a health primary, health secondary on a cross. He said don't delete that one. That would be a good candidate for, you know, kind of min-maxing a character, like a Barris. That'd be a decent mod for, like, a Barris, or any raid character with health steal. You know, you do, like, a Poe. Remember in the tank raid, you had to have your Poe real healthy Princess Leia for that Princess Zodi comp. You wanted lots of health on her so she could regenerate it.
Yeah. Okay, I see this one right here as he's talking about. Health primary, health set, health. Okay, so I won't delete that one.
Good eye, Vague. Good eye.
Good eye. Alright, I'm gonna delete some of these crit avoidance mods. I mean, who cares about that? Wow, there's a lot more. I remember like a lot more speed secondary mods that I didn't delete. It's kind of weird that there's so many I'm finding now, because maybe I'm going deeper down the list than I did last time, because I think I kind of tried to stay to the top, you know, with 4 dots, and I didn't really go into my blue 5 dots. So similar situation here. Health set, health primary, health secondary. I guess I'll keep that one. Okay. I'm not going to spend the whole time here selling mods.
Yeah.
So
I'm just sitting here watching you do it, too. Sorry.
Yeah. So,
not the most compelling entertainment.
Yeah. We're gonna move on. I just wanted to kind of discuss my personal stress with the amount of mods that we're getting, but yeah, that's basically it. I mean, it's just one of those things where, I mean, if you spend the time to maintain it, of course, you know, it'll be all right. But you know, that's just one of the gripes I have is I think that they could have, you know, with the update, they could have increased the ceiling on mods you can keep in your inventory. But maybe I should just go ahead and spend a little time and kind of equip some of those mods that I already have leveled up, that are just kind of sitting there on some of my lower characters. Because I definitely have some characters at the bottom there that do not have mods. I mean, you know, those characters could definitely get some mod love. You know, I've got a Zeta on Bodhi Rook, but no mods on him.
Yes, how you liking that Zeta, by the way?
Oh, I love it. It's amazing.
So good you don't even need mods, huh?
So good, I don't even need mods. It's sad to see my Eve Koth, my Darth Sidious with no mods. But yeah, I mean it's interesting. You know, I thought that with the update, I thought that with the updates we'd see a lot more complaining about people increasing their speed. But again, it's like we said the first day that we started trying them out. It's going to take a long time for everybody. Even if, you know, you spend some money at the offset, nobody's going to, nobody's going to take such a large leap in speed that I think it's going to make it impossible for you to catch up. I mean, you know, the mechanics in the game now lend to the fact that, you know, you can kind of get... Of course, speed is still king, but you can still win in Arena if you use the right strategy. And you know, mods are always going to be an important part, but you can, you know, mod your team in a way that kind of counters the team you're fighting based upon not only speed, but other aspects too. So, for example, if you mod your team, you know, for offense, and you have, you know, a team that's pretty, you know, pretty fast, but let's say weak in health, you can take them out. I mean, you gotta. Every shard is different, so you gotta do it based upon your opponents. But, what are you running in Arena right now, Maurice?
Treya, Scion, Nihilus, Nest, and Thrawn, and/or Sith Trooper.
How creative of you to do
yes.
to do this. I mean, I'm running.
I know.
I'm running the same thing. So I mean, it's okay. I didn't listen. I was trying to be a pioneer, and I was running that Bastila team, and then like I literally got knocked to. I didn't play Arena for a day, and I got knocked to rank 165.
Well, you gotta get them crit avoidance arrows.
The crit avoidance arrows.
Knocking those crit avoidance arrows.
The crit avoidance arrows are what I'm missing. Yes.
Yes.
No, but that was very discouraging. I'm sure some of you guys are experiencing that same thing. It's, you know, if you don't, you know, with Bastila especially with all the Sith, you know, you're gonna drop, and it's, even if you are running Bastila, you have to have Nihilus in that team, or at least, you know, for the majority you're going to use Nihilus. I mean, you can win without a Nihilus, but it's going to take some pretty good RNG. But what I'm saying is, you know, with Nihilus and your Jedi, you can win. But if you're trying to run a straight Jedi team, you're dropping, and if you leave that in overnight, I mean, you could, because there's so many Bastilas in Arena now that can beat you, you could drop really far. So I mean, it's imperative that you kind of switch up your teams now. I mean, it's always been that way, but I've never really been that type that like switches up a team for like the nights. Normally, I leave the same team in all day, and I've typically been okay with that throughout the history of this game. But now, for sure, if I want to try anything out, I got to put my Sith in at night, and that kind of keeps me typically in the top 20, top 30. I dropped a little bit here because I've been kind of busy the last few days, so I've dropped back to the 50s and 60s here. But yeah, I got to just make the climb back up. So a lot of people I have seen are kind of commenting on Houndstooth and how Houndstooth's made such a big impact on the fleet arena. So, what are your thoughts about Houndstooth in the fleet arena?
Well, you know, for first couple weeks it was out, I was like, there's no way a 3 or 4 star ship will replace any of my existing maxed out ships, and I was wrong. That ship is awesome. It's very, very difficult to kill. It works with the bugs. It works really well against the bugs. Any, especially Tarkin, you can bring it in off the bench. It's got retribution. It can be a real pain to deal with. I've seen guys on my show, they use it in the starting lineup, they pull it off the bench. It does seem, at least I would prefer it off the bench because you can bring it in and immediately taunt, which is nice. But if you do use it in your starting lineup, it's not going to have a chance to taunt perhaps before the other team gets some turns. But I'm working on my boss now. Mine isn't currently arena ready. My boss is 5-star gear 10, so he needs some stars, he needs some Zetas, and then I'm gonna put that puppy right in there at 4-star. I've been working on the Omegas for this whole week. I finished what I was doing. I maxed out Poe, excuse me, and then now I'm just on the Houndstooth, and nothing but Houndstooth till it's done.
Yeah, Houndstooth is a meta-changing ship for sure. If you didn't get a chance to see it yet, I made a reveal video about Houndstooth, a first look video, so you could take a look at that video and kind of check out Houndstooth. But that ship is really bonkers. I mean, it's one of those things where if you have the correct combination in there, like I didn't think so at first when I was testing it out, but it looks like the Geonosians actually work really well with Houndstooth. And if you have the right combination in there, and it's geared up well enough, and the team is fast enough, I've heard some people that basically just can't beat 7-star Houndstooth teams.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I really have any on. I'm not sure if they're 7-star or not. I don't think they would be, but I could be wrong. Just the guys in my ship shards generally don't go nuts over a new ship. I haven't seen it yet, but Houndstooth is different. I think Houndstooth is probably the first, ship that we've really gotten that's an instant game changer. Lando's ship was good. So some people like the Kylo ship and the First Order stuff, the Special Forces TIE pilot. But for the most part, this ship is a meta ship right out of the box. So. Well, that's good to see.
That's what I'm saying. Is I think that yes, typically you're not going to see a ton of people investing in a ship, but this is not any typical type of ship. This is probably the best ship we've seen in a long time, and it's making an instant change in arena. And due to that fact, the investment in some cases makes sense because ultimately, if you're able to pull off taking rank 1 every day, or in the top 5 every day, and get those crystals back, if you're somebody that's not there now and you're not getting that reward, ultimately it may pay for itself, in crystals over time, if you're now able to place higher.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty cool. But okay, let me see here.
All right, let's see here. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, just fire them away in the chat. I'll snatch them up for the end of the show here.
Yes, ask the questions. Ask the questions. So, we definitely have to dive into this top 5 and meta report here momentarily. There's definitely some interesting things to discuss there. And first, I want to take a look at last week's meta report, and when we look at that, we saw Palpatine was still dominating, and all this stuff was going on there. There's so much that has changed because I guess SWGOH.GG had not updated in a little while, so we had assumed that the meta report. I mean, the meta report has been typically the same, but now let's take a look at the new meta report for this week. And if you look here, you can see Darth Treya has completely taken over the meta. I mean, we kind of knew this. I had a feeling about this, and I was wondering why it wasn't reflecting on the meta report on SWGOH.GG, but it's because we've been waiting for an update for a couple weeks now, and Darth Treya has completely overtaken Emperor Palpatine, now taking 60% of the pie, setting Palpatine to second place right in front of Basta LaShawn, who's in third place, with a very small piece, about what looks to be almost maybe even less than a 10% piece of the pie, going to Rey Jedi Training, Rex, Grand Admiral Thrawn, CLS, Darth Maul, and Mother Talzin, and Finn. What are your thoughts about this, Maurice? I mean, did you see this coming? I mean, we've been talking about this for months now, but I didn't think that Traya was already there. Apparently she is.
Well, it's just a matter of people getting her, gearing her up, saving all those droid collars she takes, getting her up to snuff, putting the Zetas on her, and they have her now. So here we see it, and it's here, and it's going to be a while till we get something that takes Darth Trey out, because she's just such an incredible character. Just does so much. Just kind of a over the top, way overpowered. Definitely an OP character. But you gotta complete the Sith. The highest in-game content we have is the Sith Triumvirate Raid, and you get to the heroic tier, and you've earned it. So it's kind of a trophy for those that have beaten in a guild that beating the in-game content we have now. So. Just like Kenobi, when everyone got their hands on Kenobi shot up the meta chart and stayed there up until about Darth Traya. The Palpatine got reworked and Traya was included in the game, and that was kind of the end of Kenobi. So, his dominance lasted a long, long time. So I'd expect the same thing from Traya.
Right. Now moving along here to the top 10 squad members at rank 1. We have, this is from last week's meta report, or the meta report that we've been seeing for the last couple of weeks because of the lack of the update. And Darth Traya was at the bottom of the list, with Emperor Palpatine at the top, and Grand Admiral Thrawn, Vader, Nihilus, Sion, Commander Luke Skywalker, R2-D2, Han Solo, Grand Moff Tarkin, and then, like I said, Darth Traya at number 10. Now, since the update, let's take a look at the new top 10 squad members at rank 1, and you can see here it's completely changed. So Darth Nihilus is now the number 1 character used in the arena, and Darth Sion is right behind him at number 2. Darth Traya has made her way up to number 3, with Grand Admiral Thrawn right behind her, Sith Trooper right behind him, Emperor Palpatine now number 6 on this list, being number 1 for a very long time. Enfy's Nest makes her debut on the meta report at...
I was wondering when that was going to happen.
Right, I was wondering that myself. I was like, I couldn't believe that she wasn't on the list. Enfy's Nest is now number 7 on the list. So then we have Grandmaster Yoda making an appearance on the top 10 squad members at rank 1. Grandmaster Yoda hasn't been on this list for a long time, so that's awesome to see. Basta LaShawn right behind him, and then, as we discussed, General Kenobi makes his way back into the top 10 squad members at rank 1 at number 10. So Kenobi's on the list again.
Keeping it real.
Yeah. No, this is interesting stuff. I mean, we haven't had a big shift like this in the meta report in quite some time. So it's really interesting to see all the changes, and it kind of indicative of what we had thought was going to be trending over the next couple of months. Again, because the list really didn't get updated for quite a few weeks, we thought that it was kind of staying similar, and I guess it was staying similar because there was a lack of an update. So now that we see the numbers have changed and matured a bit, we're seeing that it's not necessarily going to be the end of September or the beginning of October for Traya to take over the meta. She's already done that. So Traya, by far the number 1 leader in the meta report, and now made her way to the top 3 and the squad members at rank 1 as well, with the Jedi and Enfy's Nest kind of rounding out the top 10 at the end there. So that's pretty interesting. Kind of expected these things to happen, but not so soon. So,
right.
But we're going to move on now to our top 5. And this week we have something pretty relevant, being that there's all this speculation about new characters coming into the game and all this stuff. We decided to do top 5 most wanted characters in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. So this is a topic that's near and dear to our hearts. We all think about this all the time. It's a fun list to talk about, but I've decided to, put this on paper here. Me and Maurice are going to kind of discuss some of these characters and in what way they could possibly make it into the game. And we're going to go ahead and break down the top 5. So who do we have here at number 5? Good old Maurice.
I don't know, man. I don't have the list. Hold on a second.
I'll tell you. I know.
Yeah, you whipped this one up.
Okay. At number 5, we have this picture.
Way to put me on the spot there, fella.
Supreme Leader Snoke. At number
God.
5. Yep. Yeah. So, Supreme Leader Snoke is our number 5 most wanted character in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. And the reason for that is because I think that Supreme Leader Snoke making it into the game could not only be an awesome character because he's such an awesome force-wielding character. He's got so much powers, but he could be a great addition to the First Order. And I'd say Snoke definitely has a possibility to have an interesting synergy with Kylo Ren. We'll see. He's already in Force Arena. I made a video kind of speculating Snoke coming into this game. I thought that because in the past with movies like Rogue One, they had circled back around and kind of included some of the characters from the film that had passed in December. Like we got Bodhi Rook much later on. We ended up getting Bodhi Rook like towards the middle of the following year. As well as certain other characters. I believe we got Biston came out around that time. Scarifrow Pathfinder came out around that time. But there were a couple of characters that we got, Bodhi Rook specifically, that comes to mind, that were from the Rogue One movie that came like way after the movie had come out already. And being that Rogue One is a one-off film and it's an anthology film, I figured being that we had a saga film, that we'd be getting more characters out of the saga film than the anthology film. So I thought that there were definitely some characters on tap. And being that Rey and Kylo pretty much destroyed all of the Praetorian Guards and Supreme Leader Snoke, I figured that if there was any time for these characters to come into this game, it would be now. Right, like towards the middle of the year, summer, maybe even going into the end of the year. So that's still a possibility. Again, the movie was still within the last 12 months. There's a chance that he could definitely be one of the characters that comes out. The only reason I don't see that happening would be if Snoke is going to make another appearance in the final film. And they're kind of holding off because he has a role there too. I don't know how that would happen. Maybe in a flashback scenario. Maybe, this is Star Wars, so anything is possible. We don't know. But either way, Snoke would be a very interesting character. And when I saw that picture, I had to throw it up there. I know that's kind of a silly picture, but I figured that it'd be kind of funny for you guys too. So that's our number 5 most wanted character in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. Moving along to our number 4 most wanted characters in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. This is where we start to get into some of the fun choices here, some of the ones that we know you guys definitely want to see. Starkiller, ladies and gentlemen. Starkiller at number 4 from the Force Unleashed games. Starkiller is probably in the, well, no longer canon, but in the extended universe, one of the strongest characters to ever be a part of the Star Wars universe. So he was actually able to physically pull a Star Destroyer down from the sky in the game. So some think he was too powerful, and for that reason he can never make it into any kind of Star Wars canon again, and never be into any kind of game again. But Sam Witwer was the likeness for this character. Sam Witwer is still a part of the Star Wars family. He still does the voice for Darth Maul, and he did it on the Rebels show. He was also the voice for Emperor Palpatine in the past, and he did the voice for Darth Maul in Solo, a Star Wars film. So I'm assuming that he's going to be around this franchise for probably his entire life, and there is always a chance when the guy who played a character in a game is there kind of speaking and talking to people like George Lucas, talking to people at Disney, that this character could make a reappearance because he's going to probably push for that. So I'm assuming that there's a small chance that he could make it to Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. Small chance. What are your thoughts about Starkiller?
Well, I think he could definitely make it to Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes because he was he not in that Soul Calibur, like the fighting game, like a decade ago? Remember they did that crossover with that Japanese fighting game? They had like Yoda and Darth Vader, and I want to say the Apprentice was in there as another playable character. So, I mean, if he's in like a fighting game from a decade ago, I don't see why they couldn't use him here, right? I mean, I don't know.
Well, I was kind of from the school of thought that they were going to eliminate Starkiller from the canon, and they were going to introduce a new character that basically took Starkiller's role, okay? Because I didn't think they were going to use that name, and then on top of that, I kind of thought that Ezra was going to be a replacement for Starkiller. Before we found out ultimately what Ezra's fate was on Rebels, I had a feeling that Ezra was going to end up turning to the dark side and becoming Darth Vader's apprentice. And that didn't end up happening, so different storyline, but I thought he was going to end up being the amalgamation of Starkiller in our current canon. So I thought that ultimately Ezra would become Starkiller, but that didn't end up happening. So ultimately we could see him in some form. I mean, he would be a really easy transition. Again, he's already been in a video game for Star Wars, so they would just need to basically get the okay from Lucasfilm, and I'm sure they could do that. So Starkiller would be really cool, and there's always a chance that we could see him in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes at some point. I just don't think it's going to be any time in the next couple of months for sure. Yeah. But that's our number 4 most wanted character in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. Moving along to our number 3 most wanted character in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. This is an old school one, guys. Exar Kun from SWGOH. So what do you guys know about this guy? Okay, he is a beast. Okay, he was a very interesting character in the lore, very powerful Jedi that turned dark side, and he actually has a pretty interesting story going back towards the it's actually Yavin. I believe in Yavin he went to this planet where he was able to summon, I'm sorry, he was able to summon the character, I'm just trying to think of this guy's name, the Sith Master. He was able to summon the, I believe it was, he was trying to summon, what was his name?
Help from the chat. Help from the chat.
Okay, so Exar Kun was a Jedi Knight who fell to the dark side, assumed the mantle of Dark Lord of the Sith, and waged a destructive war against the Galactic Republic and the Jedi Order during the era of the old Sith Wars. Kun was an apprentice to the respected Jedi Master Voda Siosk Boss, and in his days as a student became across forbidden knowledge of the history of the Sith. Extremely confident in his own abilities and naturally quick to anger, Kun was filled with a burning curiosity regarding the Sith and soon went on his own quest to find as much as he could. Kuhn's search led him to the planet Onderon, which had once been ruled by a Sith Lord named Freedon Nod. And with the help of the pair of Nod's followers, Kuhn came across Nod's tomb. So that's who it was. It was Freedon Nod's tomb. And there he was confronted by the spirit of the dead Sith himself. Seeing in Kuhn a potential avenue to regain physical form, Nod directed the young Jedi to the ancient Sith homeworld of Korriban. There, Nod conspired to grievously injure Kuhn, only healing the man when he accepted the dark side into his heart. Kuhn next went to Yavin 4 as a place with his own. Kuhn enslaved the primitive Masazi living there and compelled them to build an extensive set of temples. So the Masazi was on Yavin 4. That's what I was talking about earlier, where he basically took over this race of they're kind of like monster-like creatures, and he kind of held up there, and he was a very strong dark side user and Jedi. So he was a great character. Oh man, we're like we're already past this this picture here. We already went on to number 2. So okay, so you guys can already see that our number 2 most wanted character in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes is Commander, well, not Commander Luke Skywalker, Return of the Jedi Luke Skywalker. So we have him at number 2, and I mean, there's not really much we could say about him that you guys don't know already. Return of the Jedi Luke Skywalker is going to be the first Jedi Luke that we have in the game. Even though we have a Luke right now that has a lightsaber, we do not have a Jedi Luke and a Luke with the Jedi tag. That could make them an interesting faction. I mean, being that we already have Grandmaster Yoda with the rework, and possibly eventually Rey coming into the game with another hero's journey and becoming a Jedi at some point down the road. Getting a Return of the Jedi Luke would be tremendous, and that's why he's made it onto the list here. So Return of the Jedi Luke at number 2 as far as the most wanted characters in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes is concerned. So that's our number 2 character. Moving on to number 1 character most wanted in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. I'm pretty sure that you guys all know the answer to this one. I'm pretty sure he's the same most wanted character for all you guys, and that's my boy
Jar Jar Binks.
Jar Jar Binks. Guys, it's Darth Revan. Okay, Darth Revan. All right, you knew this was going to happen. Yes, it was Salacious Crumb was going to be number 1. Of course, I always knew that. Now, so Darth Revan is my favorite character in the Star Wars lore. He's absolutely ridiculous, and he's going to be awesome, okay, whenever he does come to the game. But that's not to say it's not going to happen, anytime soon. We have had a lot of rumors about, him eventually coming in at some point with maybe a legendary event, either later on this year, maybe the beginning of next year. I have a feeling that if we are going to get him, it's going to be sometime in February, where we typically get a Sith every single year for the last 2 years. So we got, Nihilus in February a year and a half ago. Then we got Darth Sion and the release of Darth Traya this year, and then I think next year we'll get Revan and Malak. That's my opinion, but we'll have to wait and see. What do you think about Revan coming to the game, Maurice?
I think they've been pretty clear that he's not coming at this time. We'll see in the future. Just because they say something's not coming at this time does not mean it's for all of time, right? So,
well,
we'll see. They've got to. That's like the ultimate carrot they're just dangling in front of us, especially with the release of these Old Republic characters, So, I don't know. We'll see. Perhaps that's we get some sort of journey character out of it. I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean that's the deal. And Revan, character that wielded both the light side and the dark side, much like XR Kun, but did eventually redeem himself and kind of split himself in two, became both a light side and a dark side Revan with two actual separate entities. So they could do that. Some people aren't really thrilled with that idea. They just want to have one normal Revan. But I mean, Revan was also both a light side and dark side character, so he could technically be the first light side and dark side character in this game. So a character that you could use in both light side and dark side territory battles, a character that you could use in both light side and dark side missions, a character that you could use as both a Sith and a Jedi with his tags. So that would be the real ultimate addition to this game if we got a character like that. His Force abilities and his strength in the Force are also next to none. So he's a very strong character and somebody that could be coming our way sometime in the near future here. So keep your fingers crossed. But Revan, our number one most wanted character in the game. We do have an honorable mention as always. And our honorable mention is kind of a deep cut here, guys. I don't know how many of you watched the Rebels show or watched the Rebels show while it was on Disney Channel. I watched all 4 seasons, and there was a character introduced in the 3rd season, I believe, that's kind of predates a lot of this stuff too, and is the first canon addition to what would be, I guess, the KOTOR era of the past, but because we didn't have any direct pictures of him yet, because he hasn't been in any things yet, this is what he looks like here. This is Tar Vizsla. Okay, he was the first ever Mandalorian Jedi, and he was the original wielder and creator of the Darksaber. So Tar Vizsla would be a sick character if they ever were to release him into this game. He'd have Mandalorian armor, he'd probably have a jetpack, and he'd have a lightsaber, the Darksaber at that, the only black lightsaber that's out there. So he is a character that we don't know much about yet, so there's no real history on him yet. We just heard a brief story about how he came to be in the Rebels TV show. So if you guys want to know more about him, I would urge you to go and search Tar Vizsla on the show, and you can see in the Rebels show a brief little video about how Tar Vizsla was the first Mandalorian Jedi and how he created the Darksaber, but it's all kind of in stick figures and it like kind of pictures like this. So we're gonna maybe they don't create things like that for no reason. Okay, so Dave Filoni, the head guy on the Rebels show, also deals with every aspect of the Lucasfilm story group. So I'm very sure that he didn't create this character for no reason. I mean, he created the original wielder of the Darksaber because there's probably a chance that we're going to get some sort of story about this guy at some point. So even though we may not know much about him now, I'm sure that we'll hear about Tar Vizsla at some point in the future, whether that be in a live-action television series or another cartoon series maybe down the road. Guys like Dave Filoni don't just throw things into shows that they don't pay off again at some point. And we never heard anything about this character again at the end of Rebels, so you better believe that he's going to make some sort of return in Star Wars lore at some point down the road. So this is our first canon Mandalorian Jedi, Tar Vizsla, and he's the honorable mention for this week. Do you know anything about this guy, Maurice? Okay.
Only what you just told me, man. Yeah, so I got a little lesson tonight.
I'm a little nerd boy about some of this stuff. So yeah, No, I'm excited, and you know, I would love to see some of these characters in the game. It's an exciting time because we know that you know, we're definitely due some interesting characters, and there's been a lot of rumors flying around. So we'll have to wait and see what comes. But yeah, I mean, they could be making a KOTOR film at some point or a KOTOR television series. We'll have to wait and see. But that was the top 5 most wanted characters of Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, courtesy of the Alliance and good old Maurice and I. I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you did, please, please, please smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. But we are going to get back into some more gameplay, and we're going to do our Q&A, and we're going to get to the point where we can wrap this. Maurice.
Yes.
Do we have any questions?
Yes. Yes, we do.
Okay, so what are the questions?
The first question of the evening comes from Nathaniel Morgan. When's the last time we had a Pac-Man meta? CLS?
Pac-Man meta.
I'm assuming where just one lead just takes over the whole pie, like we saw earlier with Trey, like we've had to some extent with Palpatine the past, you know, few months. So,
I mean, you know, I would say CLS, Ray Jedi Training was up there, but I mean, the last time that we had like a true, like, just taking over the meta kind of situation, and everybody was running that character, like a long time ago, was probably, you remember that Poe lead when it was like Poe, everybody just ran Poe.
Oh yeah, Poe, and then there was old Ben or Dooku, but I guess that was 2.
Yeah.
But 2 meta leaders took up probably 90% of the pie back then. But
pretty much.
Man, let's see. I'm a little behind, but here's one. Brandon Stevens, with the triangle mods, is it worth keeping ones with crit chance? If you're referring to primaries, yes. He just mentioned Jedi Training Rey, and that team relies on crit chance to deliver the exposes, and in the raid or any environment, you get massive amounts of damage from those exposes, and all you have to do is crit hit. So yes, crit chance, and I think the optimal P1 setups for the Rey teams include crit chance triangles on BB-8, R2, those 2 characters, and also the secondary stats. Yes, they increase as well when you take them to 6E. It's much easier to reach those crit chance thresholds now, so you do want to hang on to those. I value crit chance pretty highly. It's probably one of my most sought after secondary stat and good primaries. Like, you don't want a crit chance primary triangle on an offense mod set with, like we talked about earlier, you don't want defense and protection, and like, you want some speed and probably want some other offensive elements as well. Let's see. Your slide got a little ahead. Yes, it did. Question. Did today's picture remind you of Camino with the rain falling?
I mean, I could see what you're talking about, definitely. I mean, I could see it looking like Camino a little bit, but it's really tough to tell. I mean, whenever they throw some of these teasers out, I mean, you know, they're not gonna give you the whole picture. I mean, it could also be, you know, it could also be Mace Windu eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, as far as we all know. You know what I mean? So, but I mean, that is a good guess. I would say, you know, that's definitely a possibility. Let me get rid of Yoda here. So,
all right, Kai Bears asks, he is asking.
You know his name is Chai Bears, like Chicago Bears.
Yes. Habit. Force a habit.
Kai Bears.
Shy Bears wants to ask a question. 326. He's basically saying we got Sabine, Gar Saxon, Boba. Would you foresee a Mandalore tag in the game?
Yes, we already had that tag a while back, didn't we? I think they took it.
I don't know if we did or not.
I think they took
Maybe
it.
we just like talked about it. I don't remember.
No, there was a Mandalorian tag, I believe. Maybe I'm nuts. Maybe we talked about it, and maybe I'm nuts. But I feel like there was a Mandalorian tag in the past. I don't know. Maybe we just discussed it, and it never actually came into fruition. But yeah, I imagine there will be at some point a Mandalorian tag. There will be more Mandalorians in the game at some point. I mean, again, like we talked about, Tar Vizsla could come at some point. We could get Prey Vizsla. There were a lot of Mandalorians that were added into the Rebels television show. So as we get later on this year, I mean, maybe they'll add some characters from that when the new television series comes out. Because again, we don't know any of these new characters that are going to be coming into what is it? Resistance, the new cartoon that's coming out this year. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, and you know you got the Ordo guy from the KOTOR series. Ordo.
Yes.
He was the pilot of what is the name of that ship in that game? They're bringing out all these ships, and he could be a pilot, you know, for the ship in the KOTOR game. I can't think of the name of it, of course. This is what happens when I try to discuss lore with the big guys, with the big dogs. I blow it. But
So basically,
there are a lot of Mandalorians that we don't have in this game that very easily be in this game.
basically the another character that I really wanted to be in this game that didn't make that list, that could have been the honorable mention, but I just decided I didn't want to go with more KOTOR characters because we had thought about Malik. We had thought about some of the other KOTOR characters from the past. I thought about the Eternal Twins, but who didn't make that list that I really want to see in this game at some point is Vitiate. I'd really love to see Vitiate in this game at some point. And I know you don't know who Vitiate is, but Vitiate is the original Emperor of the Sith. I mean, he's not the original Emperor, he's not the first ever, but he was basically an apprentice of that first ever Emperor. And he ended up living for a very long time, and kind of when the Sith had died away, he had basically gone into like a hiding and tried to build back up the Sith army so that they could eventually take over the Jedi again. And he was successful, and he eventually took Malik and Revan as his apprentice, and held Revan captive for years and years, and turned Revan into a Sith Lord. Yeah, he was a very powerful emperor. I would love to see Vitiate in this game. He eventually lost in battle, and then came back as another character. He came back as a character named Valkorion, with his spirit basically passing into some other body. So that would be kind of cool if they had both Valkorion and Vitiate in the game. But we'll have to see if that ever happens. I'm sure we'll get one of those guys at some point. It's too big to the story, especially the KOTOR story, to not be in here at some point.
Right.
Yeah, Revan was in prison for 300 years. So,
Zach Robinson.
Kreia would be cool too.
Go.
The light side version of Kreia, that'd be cool. Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Zachary Robinson. What's the max crit damage? I believe that is 222%. The crit damage sets and speed sets kind of went unaffected. Not kind of. They went unaffected with the bonus they give, and the crit damage triangle went up to 42%. So not too much of a change there from what we had. Let's see. Yep, Papa Diaz answered that for me there. This one comes from Hans Omar Van Harold Duerte. For getting the home one at 7 stars, what ship lineup would make it more easy? I guess he's fighting the Akbar 7-star ship challenge, and he's kind of struggling with that. I guess he's asking for a suggestion as to what lineup to use. The easiest lineup is probably going to be your bigs. your wedge, which you may already have. You know, you've been in the chat here for a while, so you probably have wedge, probably have bigs. Poe is a good option.
Also, the Phoenix ships, right? I mean,
yeah, but the Phoenix, I mean, you do have to have them relatively geared. I mean, I guess if you have them geared up at least high enough to get Thrawn, then you probably have them high enough to get the home one. Especially if you start investing in some of the reinforcement abilities. Phantom's really good. Biggs is, you know, one of the arguably the best ship in the game still. One of them. Trying to think of some other light side ships. I believe you're using Akbar's capital ship, so you want ships that assist. Plo Koon's really good off the bench. Clone Sergeant, those might be Clone Sergeant you might have if you used to run the clones in the tank raid. Trying to think of realistic options. I mean, obviously if you can even use dark side ships, it's been a while since I've done it. Geos. So basically, I think I just named off every ship in the inventory.
This was named off every ship in the game. No, I would say I would say you're probably going to be better off with Biggs Darklighter. Is it light side ships or dark side ships? I'm pretty sure it's light side ships, right?
I think it might be. Like I said, it's been a while since I've done that. I mean, Biston's obviously a great one, but that's not a real.
Who asked the question?
Hans.
Anybody in the chat know the answer to that? Is it light side or dark side ships? I believe it's light side ships, and if that's the case, then I would say it's. It's been a long time since I beat that challenge too. I don't remember. It's rebel ships, right? So yeah. I mean, I'd say Biggs Darklighter, Wedge is a good option. Possibly the Ghost would be a good option too. You can also use Cassian's U-Wing. That's a great option. Also an easy ship to farm out of the Cantina shipments. So, I mean, you're going to want to go with ships that synergize well. Cassian's U-Wing is great. You can call and assist with it. It dispels. It's a great ship. So, overall, I think that you have a pretty good set of ships there with Biggs Darklighter. I'd say Cassian's U-Wing, and if you're talking about maybe possibly if you have to use Rebels, I would say no, you don't have to use Rebels, so it's only light side. So I mean, you could probably use Ahsoka Tano too. Dispel there, that's not a bad ship. Also, you have the ability to use Poe Dameron's ship if you have that. That's probably a harder ship to attain if you don't have, let's say a Poe Dameron's ship already. Then you can go with the Phantom as well. So I'd say those are pretty much your primary ships there. If I had to pick a top 3 to start with, if they're still using 3 ships for that event, then I would say it's light side. Okay. So yeah, I would say it's. I would say you go with my top 3 would be Poe, Biggs Darklighter, and the Ghost. Cassian's U-Wing, with the Ghost on and the Phantom coming off the bench. That's what I would do. But yeah, I mean, it took me a while to beat a couple of those too. I think the Mace Windu one was the hardest one for me.
Yeah, I think you're right. But yeah. Sorry, Hans. I mean, it's been a while since I've done that. I'm kind of a little bit rusty, so sorry about that one. We didn't really here. Just use any of the ships in the game. Basically, is what we told you. So sorry about that. I'll pay attention to it next time. Next time it comes around, I will definitely pay attention because that's things I should know. Let's see. Oh yeah, B Masu asks a question here. He said, "Could you please do the last Cantina battles that you have 168 of 168? Apparently, you have 167 of 168 total stars in your Cantina battles."
I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case.
It's driving him a little bonkers. So
who was that that's asking it?
B Masu.
Or B Masu. For you, I'm going to do it. Okay.
All right, well, he does that. Stonewall asks a question. In TW, do the bounty hunter payouts carry over when they win a TW battle, or do they have to get their payouts each battle? That is a good question. I believe that the payouts reset. I could be wrong, though. I'm not 100% on that. Are you sure? I don't recall going into a fight in TW against bounty hunters and them already having their payouts, but it's a very small sample size. I guess I've never really looked into that. Do you know? Anybody in the chat know the answer to Mr. Stonewall's question here?
No. I don't think it works like that.
Yeah. But because Scion doesn't carry the held by hatred over, Nihilus's annihilate resets. So I would assume that the payouts reset as well. Zach Robinson asks, how would you upgrade the hero journey for Jedi Luke?
Update the hero's journey for Jedi Luke. I mean, if you're talking about like how would I do it so that he goes to become Return of the Jedi Luke, or how would I change the existing one?
I guess he's asking, assuming Jedi Luke is a heroic journey.
Like what
do you envision?
What would we do? Right. Okay, I got you.
What characters we would need?
Well, I would imagine that we'd need some of the same characters. I would say.
Well, we could always have like a month long of Flash events. You guys remember the Flash events that led up to the CLS? We have to use like Farm Boy Luke and the Jawas to go in there and get your fully crafted, farmable purple gear. You remember that?
Yep. I would say I would say Luke. I would say we would need CLS himself. We'd need you would definitely need CLS. You'd need probably Lando. No, Return of the Jedi Luke. Yeah, Lando, Han.
Which Han?
I'd say Raid Han.
Yeah.
And I mean, unless they add another version of Han, I'd say. I'd say it'd be Raid Han. I'd say it'd be Princess Leia. And CLS. So CLS, Han. I mean Raid Han. I think Lando, Leia, and then I would say R2-D2.
Yeah. And you almost have to think there might be, maybe that one of the fifth slot might be a character that we don't have yet, right? There has to be, like for Rey, you had to get BB-8. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like there might, like for Rey, you had to have those two veteran characters that were just released, prior to her coming out. So I don't know. I would probably put money on there's at least one character that would be required for that we don't have yet.
I mean, what would happen in the story in I mean, I think you would fight the story all the way through. I think you would have, Luke fighting Vader on the Death Star, and I think that there would be a ship battle where you use the Millennium Falcon. Maybe the Millennium Falcon will be required to defeat the Death Star.
Perhaps, yeah.
That would be pretty cool, right? I mean, maybe they have like that scene in the Death Star where you basically go up to, you take the Millennium Falcon and go up to the Death Star and kind of destroy the Death Star. Maybe that'll be the last part of the hero's journey.
Yeah.
Where you press that button, Okay, something's going on with your thing again, so I'm just gonna exit out.
Yeah, that looks. Let me do a little quick scan here. I think that's about all the questions we have.
Okay, your picture's back on again.
All right.
Your camera's off for some reason. Did you turn your camera off?
Oh yeah, I was trying to fix it here. Hold on. There you go.
What a pretty man. All right, so yeah, I'd say that that would probably be the case if we were doing a hero's journey for Luke. I think it would be a bunch of characters that a bunch of legendary characters. So I think it would be Raidhan, CLS, R2D2. I think that it would be Leia would probably be there, and maybe Lando, unless we get different versions of those characters. Maybe they have like a legendary Lando that comes out eventually. Maybe Lando with that that helmet that he wears when in the Return of the Jedi. Maybe they have a different version of Leia. Maybe they have Leia with that mask, or Slave Leia at some point. Who knows? We'll see. But it'd be cool either way. Anyway, guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here. It's now 3:30 in the morning, and Maurice and I need to get ready for our days tomorrow. So we're going to go ahead and call it a stream. I appreciate you guys hanging out with us so late tonight on a Monday. Makeup stream for Sunday. We'll be back again on Sunday at our usual time around midnight Eastern time, and we'll be discussing whatever topics or updates come up over the next couple of days. Hopefully we get some more news on that picture and find out possibly what that image really is over the next couple of days, and then we'll be able to kind of go in depth on that in the next live show. If you guys haven't already, please like and subscribe. Go to www.thealliancegaming.com for all your Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes needs. You can follow us to our Discord there. If you're not on my Discord already, please follow the link in the description to my Discord. In this video, you can find a link that will bring you right to my Discord. You can talk to me there. Also, we're going to be working on some things together, Maurice and I, so we'll probably have some interesting stuff for next week. Definitely stay tuned. I'll try to see if we can get together possibly a roster review for next Sunday. And if anybody here would like to be that person that gets reviewed, please hit me up on Discord, and I will see if we can go ahead and get you on the show. We'll set you up to come on with us, and we'll kind of take a look at your roster in game and go over different ways we can make some improvements and things for you to shoot for going forward. But it's been fun. I definitely appreciate you guys sticking it out late with us tonight. All you guys, it's been a great time. What's up, McFlies? What's going on? But I wish you guys the best. I hope you have a great evening. Love you guys. May the Force be with you, and I will see you on the next one. Later, guys.